You're watching the PoliticIt Podcast.
Good evening. Welcome to PoliticIt Podcast. I'm Senator John Johnson. We got Jennifer Jensen with us today.
Yes.
So nice to have you.
Nice for you to invite me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you and your college and what you guys are doing.
So I am a founding trustee of John Adams College. It's a college down in Provo. We're a liberal arts college, so if you're familiar with Hillsdale, we're very similar to Hillsdale. Much cheaper and closer to home, but similar in the way that our students read from the great books, the original sources. We don't read textbooks. They learn from the philosophers and thinkers themselves, and then we get together in small classes and we discuss what we've read. So they come prepared to discuss, and we have Socratic discussions, not lectures in our classes. And the kids come and they try to find the truths. They try to pull out, what did the author mean by what they were saying? Where's the truth? How does it relate to other writers that we've read? How does it relate to today's world or maybe past historical happenings? And trying to find the truth of it and how does it work and how to apply it. Every writer has things that are true and things that are not true in their writings, and we try to get our students to be able to recognize the difference between that. And then they leave having this foundation of knowledge and truth that they can then take with them, and it gives them great critical thinking skills and good communication skills. They have to work with each other and dialogue with each other, explain their thoughts on what the author is trying to say, and maybe disagree with other students on their ideas, and it helps them learn to work together and understand each other, be able to listen and learn from each other. And it's a great experience. You are welcome to join us anytime.
That actually would be fun, because I think that's where learning takes place, right? Where we have discussions about things. And,
yes.
And that. So let's talk just a little bit about you to start with.
Okay.
Okay. So where'd you go to school?
So I started out regular, just like pretty much everybody else, just regular public schools, and then I grew up in Cache Valley. So I actually started out, I went to 3 different colleges to get my bachelor's. So I started out at the U, went back to USU, and ended up at BYU and graduated at BYU. And then by that point I'm married and I'm starting to have kids, and so I stayed home with my kids. But while I did that, I kept working on my education. I got a master's and a PhD from George Wythe, a liberal arts college that used to be here in Utah. And I actually homeschooled my kids while they were young. And I just felt really strongly about education and the importance of a good education. And then once my youngest graduated and went off, did his thing, then by this point I knew Gordon Jones, and the two of us decided we needed to start a college here like Hillsdale, because we have a lot of students here in Utah that potentially could look at a place like Hillsdale and want to go there, but have it be so far away and so expensive that it makes it really difficult. And we felt like Utah deserved its own liberal arts education, and had enough students to need it. So that was 7 years ago. We're just finishing up our 7th year now, and our students are doing great. We've had a lot of successes with them, and we're very small still, but growing, and our students are doing good things, and that's what really counts.
Yeah.
So
this foundation in the liberal arts, why don't you explain that just a little bit so our audience better understands what that means?
So the liberal arts are looking at the original sources of things and looking at actual education. So they started back in Greece and Rome. People have probably heard of the trivium or the quadrivium, where they would learn different topics that should be able to help you in whatever career you want to do, and will help you in whatever career you want to do. And so it's not an education like a regular college where you're going to go and get an accounting degree and you're going to learn all about accounting, or you're going to go and get an engineering degree and learn all about engineering. Our school is about giving you a really broad education versus a narrow education in one job type place. We give you a big, broad education that allows you to then move forward and do anything you want to do with it. We have classes in entrepreneurial activities. We expect, especially with AI and the loss of jobs that is already happening and will continue, that students need to have this broad education, that if they choose a narrow area, like say accounting, and that area starts to go away because AI is taking over, you now have the rest of your education that you can jump to something else, do something else. The idea is that they can use their own creativity to see a problem in the world and find a solution and make their own place. Create a job, create an item that will help people in the world. And so even if AI is taking jobs away, our students, we feel like, are better prepared to be able to get through that and find their own place and find a way to earn a living.
So where are your students? What happens to them after they leave John Adams College?
We have students we don't have a lot of graduates, so as of yet, but I can give you a couple of really great stories. We have one girl who wanted to go into publishing. She wants to go into not the writing side of book, but the publishing and distributing of books, editing, that sort of thing. And so she applied to different master's programs. She got accepted into all of them. She got accepted at Columbia School of Journalism. They had a program to study at Oxford. She got accepted into Ralston, chose Ralston, got a master's degree there. And from there, now she's living in New York, working for, I think it's Encounter Books. And it's a small book company, but because it's small, she can see the whole gambit of the publishing industry. She can see all of that and see what she really wants to do versus being stuck in one area.
Right.
And so she's just having a great time in New York and doing that. We have another student who, she wanted to go into journalism, and between her junior and senior year, she applied to different journalism internships. She got accepted to a few, and she decided to take one with the National Journalism Center in Washington, D.C. So she goes there that summer, and in their opening introduction, their supervisor is talking about how there were thousands of kids all over the country that applied for this internship, and only like 30 or 40 kids were accepted. And she told me afterwards she couldn't believe that here she was, this little girl from Utah who went to this little unknown college and got accepted got to be one of those 30 or 40 students. She just couldn't believe it. And later on, this supervisor told her that she was actually a shoo-in, because in her application, she had mentioned people she had read that most kids hadn't even heard about. They didn't even know who they were, let alone have read them. And so she not only had good writing skills, but she also had something to write about. She had this good historical foundation, a good knowledge of different authors and different writers, different philosophers throughout the centuries that she could relate to and compare and contrast with whatever she's talking about. And she told us how all the people that were there, all the 30 or 40 interns, were really great writers. All of them were very, very good at their writing skills. All of that was great, but not many of them actually had something to write about. And she had something to write about. And she came back to school that fall, super excited about her whole internship. About 2 weeks into the school year, into her senior year, she gets a call. She had been writing that summer for the Spectator World, the international magazine. She had done quite a few different articles for them, and they called her up and they asked her if she would keep writing for them part-time while she went through her senior year. So during her senior year, she kept writing for them. And then about February, she got a call from their sister company, the Young American Foundation, I think it's called, and they offered her a job just out of the blue. She hadn't even applied, but they had heard from their sister company, the National Journalism Center, how great she was, and so they offered her a job. So a week after she graduates, last summer, she's in Washington, D.C., working and having the time of her life.
Wow.
So our kids are, they are very impressive, and I think as more and more people start finding out about them, we'll start to have a reputation of that kind of thing. We have another student, she's not graduated yet, but last summer she was working part-time for a company here in Salt Lake Valley, and they loved her work, loved what she was doing, kept showing her different things that she could do and add on to what she was doing. And so she kept doing more and more, and eventually she was kind of working part-time for the summer. And by the end of the summer, she told me that they offered her, the way she put it was, an insane amount of money to work full-time for them and quit school and just come work for them full-time. And she wouldn't do it. She said no and came back to school and is trying to finish her degree. So
that's awesome.
So those are the kind of experiences that our kids are having with their education. And I know one of our students was an intern for you.
Right.
A couple of years ago. And
Trevor.
Yeah, and did a great job. And
yeah, he did.
Loved it.
Yeah, so hey, we're going to take a break and we'll come right back. Thank you.
All right.
Tired of media bias? Frustrated by political noise? PoliticIt.com cuts through the clutter, giving you real facts, clear analysis, and unbiased insight on the issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay empowered. Whether it's elections, policy changes, or breaking news, we've got you covered. No spin, no agendas, just truth you can trust. Visit PoliticIt.com today, because informed citizens shape the future. PoliticIt.com, where politics meets clarity.
Welcome back to PoliticIt. We've got Jennifer Jensen here, and it's so nice talking to you. Right before the break, we were talking about some of your students and what they were doing, but I'm kind of curious, what is it about this liberal arts education that helps these students to move forward? Well,
there's a group called NACE, N-A-C-E. It's the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And they've done research for the past 10 or 15 years about what employers really want in their new hires. And they came up with 8 different skills, only one of which has anything to do with job training, and that's IT or tech type skills. The other 7 are all skills that actually are learned through the liberal arts. So leadership type skills, thinking outside the box, working within a team, communication skills, writing skills, critical thinking, problem solving, all of those kind of skills are what they found that employers are really wanting more than anything else. And on our website, we actually have a lot of quotes from different people, as different employers, as high up as groups like Amazon and Google have said how they really want the liberal arts, people who have liberal arts education. It just brings in a different perspective. It's kind of like AI. So AI can do all of the information. You don't need to do any of that work anymore, right? You Google it, you ask ChatGPT, and it comes up with all the information you need. But it doesn't tell you, it can tell you what to build, it can tell you why to build it, it can tell you how to build it, but it can't tell you if you should build it. It can't tell you if it's the right thing to do. And that is wisdom, and that's different from information. And that comes from a liberal arts education. That comes from reading people from the big spectrum of information from all different I can't think of the word, all different subjects, all different opinions on those different subjects. We're not just going to read, say, Adam Smith, we're also going to read Karl Marx, we're also going to read Keynes. And then our students can look at all of those different perspectives and come together and decide what really should be done, what's really the right way, now that we understand everybody's perspective. And that really comes from a liberal arts education, and that's why it's so important and so valuable. And that's why you hear people today, even like Elon Musk, who are saying a liberal arts education is really the way to go now, not job training, because anybody can get the job training, and those kind of jobs are the ones that are going to disappear the fastest anyway with AI. It's the people who have the wisdom, who can tell us what we should be doing, who tell us the right thing to do. Those are the people that we don't have enough of.
No. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that you look at what's going on right now when you look at kind of the way people think about things, and the way and all of those really lend themselves to a liberal arts foundation, right? That's one of the reasons why I've been so passionate about this idea, because how do we think, and how does that the way we think really build towards other things.
And if you know how to think, I don't need to know how to be an accountant to know if I need one and I can go find one, or if I need an engineer, or if I need anybody in these specialty areas. But it's the person that can bring them all together and find where they actually need to work together. Those are the people we're short of. There's a few books out now that talk about this kind of thing. I don't want to necessarily mention them, but I can give you an example of a story in one. This was probably back a few years, but a guy was working at a library, I want to say in Chicago, a school in Chicago, and he was noticing that all of these people in medicine were finding these things to do with headaches, and they were trying to figure out headaches. And then you had this other side where they were working with vitamins, and they were finding out that some vitamin was actually helping, but the two of the groups were not getting together. So it was like you had this deep education here and you have this deep education here, but they don't talk to each other. And that's where you get this liberal arts education, where you have enough breadth that you know enough about all these different areas that you can bring these people together when they need to come together. And you can help put all of this knowledge into one place where it's actually usable. And so he was able to do that because of it.
Because of his background, really. And the wide spectrum of things that he studied.
Right. And we're so big on the narrow. You just need to learn your little thing. And we're even getting rid of the general ed classes, which are the closest to the liberal arts that we have in regular colleges. And we don't even see the importance of those. And we just want to do our major and do our very narrow training, thinking that that's what's going to matter in the end. But then there's no way to talk amongst each other that way and work together. And if your job disappears, then you're out of work. And what's really interesting, I think, is the stats. I think the stats are right around 70% of people don't actually work in the degree that they got. So that's a really interesting, to worry so much about getting a specific degree, to know that 70% of the people don't even work within the degree that they have. It shows you that the degree itself is really not as important as what you're learning and the education that you're getting.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating to me, really, to think about that, because so much of what is going to happen in the future is a bit uncertain.
Very uncertain.
And I think people that have a very deep understanding of one thing may not, it's nice to have that, as long as you can round that out with things around that, right?
It's true. I mean, it's great to have any amount of education, but to get an education that's big and broad that and teaches you how to learn as well, so that if you ever want to learn something else, you can. You've already learned all this other stuff. You totally can learn something else.
Right.
And use that in your life's work, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating area to think about. I want to ask you a couple of deeper things in a way.
Okay.
But how do we take that knowledge that we get and apply it to different fields? And I guess what I'm saying is, what happens to the individual when they're thinking about it's hard for me to express this, but when you think about how they think about things and how they move to that next level, right? I'm just curious, how do you motivate people to learn beyond where they're
They
at?
absolutely have to. I think that has to come from inside. Like it has to be. It takes a certain kind of person to love education and love learning but I also think that once you actually start on that path and you start to learn new things, it's so cool and it's so fun that it's hard not to want to keep going.
Right.
As you learn all these new things and new ideas and I know with our students, I teach a political philosophy class right now, and we're now to the end of the year almost, so we're closer to today. But we just finished John Stuart Mill, his political philosophy books. And he mentions people like Montesquieu, he mentions people like Plato and Aristotle, and our students are saying, we've already read them. We know exactly what he's talking about. Like everything
Right.
he's saying makes sense because we've already read these other people. So we can be part of that conversation and understand what he's saying and either agree with him or decide that he's not presenting them correctly.
Right.
And so I think that it's even being in a position where you get to learn and you get to see it happen and you get to experience it makes it different. When it's just something that's kind of being forced on you, the idea that a student is an empty vessel and the teacher's just pouring things in, I think is not accurate. I think it needs to be students are very much a part of their own education, and they have to do the work and they have to do the learning that gets them there. And it's kind of like, if you want to be a great piano player, you have to do the practicing yourself.
Right.
You can't have your sister do it for you,
Right.
and it's that same idea. But it's so fun to be able to learn all those things and then discuss them. And when their names come up, you know what they're talking about.
Right.
It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's funny how that corpus that you have is actually, even though it is deep, it's very broad.
Yeah.
Right. And so what's next?
What's next? We just keep helping our students make the best that they can of their education and try to help them be prepared for what's ever coming. I mean, nobody really knows for sure, but I think understanding human nature and understanding how people work helps us know what's coming in the future and helps us be prepared. And I think we're at a time in history where we could use people like the founders again. They were in their specific place, in their specific time for an important reason. And with their education, they were able to come up with a constitution and come up with a way to start the society or keep the society running that other people might not have been able to do. And we haven't seen it very often in society and history at all. And I feel like another time is coming of that same importance, that we need to have people prepared with a great education for the same types of reasons.
Right.
And so we're trying to help our students be those people for the future.
So make a pitch for me. about John Adams College. What is it about your particular college that students can really learn what they need to know?
I think, well, if I were to make a pitch, I guess I would say that our students have the education they need to pretty much do whatever they want to do in the future, whatever they want to do, whatever they want to go into, even if they don't know what it is yet. Down the road, there are going to be things that come that we don't even know about yet. Just like after the Industrial Revolution, people had no idea. They just thought those machines were going to take over and nobody would have jobs anymore. And what happened is that instead of having no jobs anymore, they just had different jobs. And they actually hired many more people than they ever had in before the Industrial Revolution. And I think there's that potential, as much as there is the potential to go the other way and have nobody have a job that everybody hears about today. But it's going to take creativity, it's going to take problem solving, it's going to take understanding human nature and understanding what people are really like and what makes us tick. And that is a liberal arts education that does that. And that will help us find a place in the future and help us keep going and not have it all come crashing down.
Yeah.
Like we sometimes are told.
Yeah.
So
but I think that really gets us to where we need to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because we just, having a future with no idea what's going to happen is really scary. And we've never had that before. I mean, I know when my husband graduated from school, he pretty well knew he was going to do what he was going to do, and he did it, and nothing really changed a lot. And that's just not the future. That's not going to happen, and we just have no idea. And so it just seems smarter to have this big of an education versus this big of an education.
Right.
You know, be prepared so that you can plop into any kind of a thing you need to do, and including making your own place, being an entrepreneur, and coming up with your own ideas and your own creativity that will change the world.
Right.
So.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And we're out of time, so.
That's crazy, but thank you. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you guys next week.